Hi, friends. Today, I want to share something special with you. It's a simple story from my heart. I baked a cake for my parents. It wasn't for a birthday, it wasn't for a party. It was just love. Let me tell you how it all began. One morning, I woke up and thought, Mom and Dad always care for me. Why don't I do something sweet for them? So I opened the kitchen door. It was still quiet. Sunlight came through the window. The kitchen smelled like morning. I stood in front of the fridge and took a deep breath. I'll bake a cake, I whispered to myself. Even though I'm not a perfect baker, even though I've never done it alone, I smiled and said, let's try. So I looked at the ingredients: flour, eggs, sugar, milk, butter. Everything was there, simple and honest. First, I washed my hands. Then I put on an apron, my mom's old one. It smelled like her, soft and safe. It made me feel ready. I placed the bowl on the counter. The metal felt cool in my hands. I cracked the eggs, 1, 2, 3. The yolks looked golden, like little suns. I added sugar and started to mix. Soft, slow circles with the wooden spoon. The sound of mixing was peaceful, like quiet rain on a window. I poured in the milk. The batter turned smooth and creamy. Then came the butter, warm and melted. It made the whole kitchen smell sweet. I sifted the flour into the bowl. It floated like white clouds. Then I folded it in, gently, like folding a blanket. The batter grew thick and heavy, ready for the oven. As I stirred, I thought about my parents. Their smiles, their voices, their kindness when I was tired or sad. This cake was for them. Not to impress, not to show off, just to say thank you. I turned on the oven 180 degrees. The little light inside glowed orange. I poured the batter into the round pan and gently smoothed the top. Before putting it in, I whispered a tiny wish. Please turn out okay. I slid the pan inside and closed the oven door. Then I sat down and waited. The kitchen grew warm. The smell grew stronger. Vanilla, butter, sweetness in the air. I cleaned the bowls and wiped the table. Everything felt calm, soft, and peaceful, like a quiet Sunday morning. After 30 minutes, I opened the oven. The cake had risen like magic, golden on top, soft in the middle. I poked it with a toothpick. Clean. It was ready. I placed it on the counter to cool. It looked simple, not perfect, but it was mine, made with care. I waited until it cooled, then I made the topping. Just whipped cream and sliced strawberries. Nothing too sweet, nothing too much. I spread the cream gently, placed the strawberries one by one. It looked like a soft cloud with red hearts. Then I made tea. 2 cups, warm and light, just how my parents like it. I placed everything on a small tray and walked slowly to the living room. Mom was reading. Dad was listening to music. They looked up and smiled. I said softly, I made this for you. They didn't say anything for a second, just looked at me with surprise. Then Mom said, You baked this? I nodded. A cake, just because. They both smiled. Big, warm, loving smiles, the kind that makes your heart melt. We sat together on the floor, the tray between us. We drank tea and took the first bite. The cake was soft, not too sweet, just right. Mom said, "It's perfect." Dad said, "You made my day." I felt so full, not in my stomach, in my heart. It was just a cake, but it was more than that. It was time, it was effort, it was love. Sometimes you don't need a big gift. Sometimes a simple cake is enough. When it comes from the heart, it speaks more than words. That day, I didn't just learn how to bake. I learned how to give. I learned how to love softly. Thank you for listening to my story. Maybe today you can do something small for someone you love. A cake, a cup of tea, a quiet smile. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be kind. See you next time, friends. Stay soft, stay warm, and always stay kind.